All right, cool. So here's what we're gonna do. Since there's kind of like not that much people on this call, I'm gonna do with the Q&A approach on this method, which means that if you are here to just spectate, then I don't think you're gonna get any value out of this call. So the reality matter of the fact is, like, a lot of people, even my mentorship program, are shy, and so I really have to help them like open up to for guidance and some whatnot. For a lot of people, like, they just don't open up, they don't share, they think that they have stupid questions and doing stupid answers. Some even have problems with annoying other people in the group, which is very weird because you're not here to please people. You're really here to, make money. And you can't make money if you actually judge yourself, you judge your questions, and then just be like, hey, I'm a beginner, everyone's a pro. If I ask a question, everyone might get offended, if that makes sense. So that's totally normal beginner behavior. Okay, I just want to make that clear for everyone. However, we do not encourage that, because in any way, shape, or form that does not serve you, if that makes sense. Cool. So the premise of this call is going to be Q&A based, and we're going to talk a lot about copy. We're going to talk about funnels, paid traffic stuff. We're going to talk about emails. We're going to talk about sales, signing clients, all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty much just going to be an open book for anyone here. So all questions are allowed. How I got started. So it's going to be more of like a podcast style version, since this is going to be Q&A based, if that makes sense. So I want to ask everyone here, who here is pretty new in QuickPro? Put a new in the chat. New as in this is your first class and you're still figuring things out. Put a new in the chat if you're new here. If you're not new, okay, so alternatively, okay, if you are not new, put in how the date of when you enrolled in QuickPro, if that makes sense. Right, so we got Mark is new, Elise. By the way, Elise, how do I pronounce your name? I don't want to butcher it. It's the first time I've ever heard of that name.
Yeah, it's Elise, sir. Elise.
Elise. Oh, fuck. I said Elise. Oh, sorry. All right, no worries. Elise is new. Mark is new. Who else is pretty new to the group? Nobody? Cool. So, okay, for those who are not new, put in okay, so we have Jahil as well, which is new. For those who are not new, put in the chat the date of when you enrolled in QuickPro. So I'll get some, some context of when people are in. Right. Third month, Alvin. Okay, Alvin, we're gonna talk a lot. Third month. That's pretty weird. 3 months. We're gonna dive deep into that as well. Okay, so let me talk about this as well. How about the others? Okay, so guys, I'm going to encourage everyone here to be more interactive as well. Because nothing's gonna come out of this call if you guys don't actually, put in shit on if you don't interact. Okay, we have March 26th. Rochelle is pretty new. Hey Rochelle, what's up? I see you. Mikhail, I think. 4th month coach. Interesting. So I'm going to talk to, okay, it's 4 months already. We have Karine. Ariana, second. Interesting. Karine is probably an OG, 2 years. Like, does that, like, Karine, like, I have a question. Like, is it like 24 months? Or like, do you mean like you've enrolled somewhere in 2020 and then this is your second year in QuickPro, if that makes sense?
Yes, coach. Running 2 years actually. I'm so embarrassed to say that.
No, it's all good. So like, I think that we're gonna dive more here into support into problem solution for your current situations, if that makes sense. Because that happened to me as well, Karine, in my past mentorship group. Although that it was a more expensive one, I wasted like 6 months doing nothing. And because I lacked the progress within those 6 months, I also got demotivated. That also got me out of my alignment as well within taking action every single day. And that also made me waste a lot of time and money and energy on something else. Cool. So let's there are people here who are new, and there's people here as well who are pretty I would say seasoned and quick pro, which means that you've been in quick pro for like quite a few months already, if that makes sense, or maybe even years for Karine. So I'm gonna make this very simple for everyone. If you know me already, which means that okay, I'm gonna divide the group into two. If you know me already, you know what I do, what I teach, the things that I've, probably a bit of my story. Put in team A, okay, TEAMA on the chat, okay. If you don't know who I am, what I teach specifically, or you have no idea, like it's probably the first time that you've ever heard of me, put in team B in the chat if you're one of those people, right? Okay, cool. All right, so we have some newcomers here. Okay, so I'd say 50-50. Actually, no, there's a lot of people who don't know me. Cool. Interesting. All right, so I'm gonna set the premise of this call. Okay, so very simple. I'm just gonna do a little bit of an introduction for the people who are new, who just probably have seen me for the first time here at QuickPro. So I'm gonna make this simple. What I do is, okay, so I'm gonna make a little bit of like a 5-minute introduction to what I do and like how I got here. So long story short, I'm a freelancer turned agency owner. So right now I own an agency. Quick question for you guys, for everyone, just only for everyone in the team B. Actually, it's for everyone. I have a quick question. So I have a big question for you guys. Sorry, dogs. It is life. It's life. So, in terms of copywriting, okay, when you hear the word copywriting, I'm gonna put it in the chat. Okay, do you guys know what that is, or like what that entails? Put in. Okay, so if you know what that is, what that entails, put in yes in the chat. If you have no idea, put in no clue on the chat. So I'll know. No clue. Cool. No worries. You got no clue, right? How's everyone? Everyone else? No clue. Nice. Yeah. We got Rochelle knows what sales copy is. It's pretty interesting. No clue. How's it? How about everyone else? Do you guys know what copywriting is? Can see it a little bit. Okay, interesting. All right, cool. So I'm gonna so I'm just gonna pretend that everybody doesn't know really what copywriting really is, because long story short, a lot of people just know copywriting as copywriting that it's some online job, or wait, it's a high income skill that you get paid for to write persuasive words for clients and blah 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 blah. And that's true to a certain degree, but I'm just gonna make this clear for copywriters and for everyone who is really new to copy and new to this world as well. Cool. So it'll be very simple. I'm gonna do my introduction and then I'm gonna explain things bit by bit. Okay. So my name is Clint, and right now I'm the global copy chief, or the global copywriter of a 7-figure marketing agency. So 7-figure means that it's 7 digits, which means that we make more than we bring in, the agency brings in 7 digits in revenue in Australian dollars. So that's around $1 million per year. So what that essentially means is that in a given year, we bring in like $1 million to $2-3 million. And essentially my function the function of the agency, okay, the function of the agency is to help our clients in the online space scale their businesses through different, services. So what are the services that we actually offer for our clients? We offer copywriting in different forms. So we offer. So has anyone here, seen Facebook ads in the past before? I think you guys do, right? Put in yes in the chat if you've seen Facebook ads before. You're scrolling through Facebook and then you see some random video. Maybe it's a product, maybe it's some person talking, right? So you see, I probably, yeah, you know. So guys, right? So you guys see Facebook ads, okay? So like the reality of the matter of the fact is that in this modern world, when you say that you're a copywriter, that doesn't really mean anything to people. So for people who really know like what they're looking for, they will ask about things like what kind of niche do you focus in? What kind of copyright, what kind of clients do you serve? And what kind of creatives or styles of copy do you actually focus in? And the reason is um, for people who have seen Facebook ads, if what do you think will happen if the Facebook ad is boring? Or it doesn't really resonate with people, or it's actually very badly written that no one really cares, what do you think will happen? Yeah, that's true. No conversions. What do you guys think? What do you guys think will happen to businesses who spend money in Facebook? Okay, and the Facebook ad really sucks. What happens there? Yeah, ads are ignored. You guys are smart. That is exactly what happens to businesses who don't really have a good marketing message, right? So what ends up happening, okay, so you see here, sometimes there are not sometimes, but there are copywriters who solely just focus on writing the copy of Facebook ads. Does that make sense for you guys? So there are copywriters who just focus on writing. Okay, they just focus on writing the creatives, like the words that you see in the Facebook ads, or they focus on writing the scripts that someone else will read or will talk about in a video to get more persuasion when they're when they're when so that conversions increase, the ads become more relevant for the market, and they bring in more leads or more sales. Does this make sense for people? Put in yes in the chat if this makes sense. Okay, put in yes in the chat. If you're confused, put in confused in the chat, because I do know that there are a lot of beginners. Okay, so I don't really expect you guys to fully understand this. So put in confused. Cool. I love the honesty. I love the honesty. I love the honesty. I really love it. Nice. Good. Interesting. Okay, so let me do some little bit of here of a demonstration. Have you guys ever had those moments where you've seen a product or a service and you know how much it changes lives, or you know how much results it brings, but you just don't know how to explain it to people in a way that people will also want the product the way you do, or the way people will also want the service the way you do? Okay, so who here has encountered moments in their lives where you see a product or a service and you just have no idea how to get people convinced uh, of the product or the service? Put me in the chat. Have you guys ever had those moments where you're seeing a product, it's pretty interesting, but you just don't know how to explain it to a friend or whatever, and you're like, it might get awkward, you feel like you're being way too salesy, you just have no idea? Okay, so you imagine this is like what's happening on a grand scale in the online space. So you see, if someone writes the ad that is not a copywriter, okay, the ads will be boring, the ads will be ignored, people will keep spending money on Facebook ads, and no one will actually bat an eye on those Facebook ads. In other words, they are wasting money on the ads that they bring. Okay, does that make sense for people? Okay, what a copywriter's job is that a copywriter is someone who understands how to write messages in a way that is very relevant, very believable, and very attention grabbing for the specific market. Does that make sense? Okay, does that make sense for you guys? Okay, so in actuality, when you actually see, okay, in the internet, okay, I'm gonna do some share screen here, and I'm gonna start really quick. Okay, so I'm gonna see if you can find ads here. Okay. Okay, guys, if you can see my screen, put in screen in the chat. Put in screen, SCREEN, if you can see my screen. Okay, cool. All right, so cool. Here's what really happens. Okay, so you're scrolling through Facebook, and you will see ads like these. Okay, cool. Now in the game of the online space, especially in advertising, it's all about getting your prospect attention. Okay, does that make sense for people? Now what happens here is that there are people who will scroll past these. Okay, let me write something down. I'm gonna write something down here. Probably. Okay. Okay. So you see, this is an ad right here on Facebook. Okay. Do you guys know what an ad is? I think you guys know. So you see here, it's sponsored and it's from this guy known as Dan Lok. So you see, the purpose of this ad, so Dan Lok, okay, is paying Facebook. Okay, this guy, Dan Lok, is paying Facebook so that, okay, so the first thing that happens is Dan Lok is paying Facebook. The second thing that happens is Facebook shows his ad to people. Okay. The people either react or ignore the ad. Does this make sense for people? If this makes sense, only just up until here, okay. Put in sense. Put in got it in the chat if you guys understand this. Okay. So the first thing that happens is, okay, Dan Lok is paying Facebook, and then Facebook shows his ad to people. Cool. So this is what he calls advertising. And so what really ends up happening is that in the internet, like there's thousands and thousands of companies who spend on Facebook ads. So what they're essentially doing is they're saying to Facebook, hey, can you actually show these to the people who would, to a certain group of people, defined by how I want them to be, so that they will actually know that I exist, and for so many reasons. Okay, so Dan Lok is paying Facebook. Facebook shows his ad to people. However, before Dan Lok is paying Facebook, this guy Dan Lok figures out who his market is. Okay, so what do you mean by who his market is? I have a quick question for you. I want this class to be very interactive so that you guys will understand exactly how this thing works. Now, if I'm selling lipsticks to men, would men buy it? Generally speaking, if they're not gay, like, of course, okay, would they buy it?
No.
Right? No. So I think, have you guys ever, interesting, maybe yes, for a girlfriend or for your wife, or for, yep, exactly, for a girlfriend, for a wife, for a sister, that's fine. But generally speaking, if you spend more money, so, okay, so, okay, so Dan Lok wants to sell a product. Okay, so when Dan Lok sells a product, he needs to first understand what he is selling. So he's like, make money from home offer. Okay, so Dan Lok has a make money from home offer. So in one way or another, Dan Lok is like, I want to help people make money from home. That is his offer. Now the big question is, I want to make this simple. Dan Lok is selling lipsticks. Lipsticks. Okay, so are you guys following me with this? So the next thing that he needs to understand is, what happens is that there is this thing in Facebook known as people who just specialize in Facebook ads. But we're not going to talk about that because I don't want to overload your brains. What I want to talk about is that in Facebook, you can tell Facebook who to show the ads to. Okay, so Facebook learns from this. So if like you have a budget of 50,000 Philippine pesos for your ads to spend, what ends up happening is you can actually tell Facebook to only show this for men, to only show this to women, to show this to men who are making somewhere around $50,000 per year, to men who are making $50,000 and below and whatnot. You can also tell Facebook that if I only want men in the Philippines, you can go into so many ways about it. But the long story short is that you can actually tell Facebook who to show your ads to. Okay, does this make sense for people? Okay, does this make sense for people? I need you guys to just understand this. You don't need to understand like how it works, but you guys just need to understand this. Okay, so have you guys ever searched for some products online, and then the next thing you know, you got kind of a seen ads of the similar product, if that makes sense?
Yes.
Have you guys ever had those
Yes.
moments? Right? So you
Yes.
probably searched for some kind of creepy, right? But like that's like how online stuff works. Where you're searching for watches, and the next thing you know, you're seeing watches as well, ads for watches, or you're searching for something for your dog. It could be a leash, and then the next thing you know, hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. So the next thing you know is probably uh, found some leashes as well as for Facebook ads, or you've searched about stuff like freelancing or online income or how to make money from home or whatnot, or you've clicked for some people or some entrepreneurs, and the next thing you now see ads from Quick Pro, right? Does that make sense for people? Okay, so you might be probably wondering why that is, but you see, there's very smart people who knows how to tell Facebook how to show you these stuff. Does that make sense for you guys? Okay.
Yes.
Now, what happens is that the smarter you get on this advertising space, okay, the less money you have to spend for acquiring a customer. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Okay, so okay, this is for the beginners. Fact number one: in business, the hardest thing to do is to acquire a customer. So what do I mean about this? Okay, so are you guys seeing this fact number one, fact number two? Write this on your notebooks or whatever. This is going to be very important knowledge, and this, okay, just understanding this alone can actually make you hundreds of thousands of dollars in the next few years from now, because this is like what we call as CPA, or cost per acquisition. Okay, everybody heard of this before? Like some geeky terms, CPA? If no, just tell me no. It's fine. But if yes,
Yes.
put in yes in the past. Okay, no, it's fine. Okay, so here's the thing: every single business out there has a budget, right? Some businesses have investors, some businesses are corporations, some businesses are run by some family business who doesn't really have that much money to spend on their business. But you see, in all forms of business, we have known as the business owners, and we also have customers. So for any business, what they really need to do is they need to acquire a customer. What does acquiring a customer mean? So coach, like talking about acquiring a customer, what does that actually mean? It actually means that how much do you actually spend for someone to spend or to decide for the first time uh, okay, when you can spend, okay, so like when a customer buys that first thing from you, that is the hardest thing to do. Does that make sense for people? Okay, why? Because Okay, so like this fact number 3, when a business acquires a customer, the probabilities of the customer buying exponentially increases. Okay, so does that make sense for people? Let me give you an example of fact 3. Okay, so let me give you an example of fact number 3. So sometimes there's some people who just buy from Jollibee, and because they don't really buy from McDonald's, they just decide that Jollibee is just the better dish, if that makes sense, or the better restaurant, if that makes sense. There are people who just, for the first 6 months of their lives, in a new city, they decided to go with Caltex. I think you guys know that, like Caltex, Shell, Petron, right? For the first 6 months, they always kind of like spend their money or their gas. They always refuel at Caltex. The next thing they knew, I'll explain that, Mark. I'll get to that later. So, in fact, what ends up happening uh, is that even though like this, it's more likely for them to actually keep using the same gas station for the next 2 years. Does this make sense for people? Let me know if this makes sense. Has this ever happened for you that maybe you're in this new place or new city, and then you actually kind of choose this eatery or this restaurant, and then what ends up happening is because you like their food, you just keep going you just decide to keep trying to keep going back to that restaurant, even if there's like 20 restaurants beside it. Put me in the chat if this is you, if you've experienced yourself doing this in the past.
Yes, coach.
Or that you experience yourself buying the same kind of, like, groceries from the same place, or maybe you actually kind of like buy the same clothes from the same brands over and over again. It's very rare that you actually go for an entirely new brand all the way. Let me know if this makes sense. I'll put in me in the chat if you have this kind of pattern.
Yes, coach.
Yes, coach.
How about everyone? Put it in the chat. I mean, interesting. If it's not you, put in not me in the chat. If it doesn't sound like you, I'm not like really for just forcing people. I'm just like curious here. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now you see, this is because business is built on trust, if that makes sense. So like when you actually pay someone something, and then you actually also what you love, like what you paid for, the next thing you know is you will keep buying from that person again. Now, what do I mean by this? In businesses, the hardest thing to do is to acquire a customer. So what do I mean by that? It's to actually get cold people who doesn't know that the brand exists, who has, or probably knows that the brand exists, but they've never bought something from the brand, to get them to buy something from them for the first time. Does this make sense for people?
Yes. To build rapport.
Okay. So now that you understand this, the next thing you need to understand is this. Okay. Like, okay. So the next thing you need to understand is this. Okay. In business, the game is won when you can spend more to acquire a customer. So what do I mean by that? Because a lot of people are like, wouldn't it make sense to actually spend less to acquire a customer? What I'm really talking about here isn't how much you should spend to acquire a customer. What I'm really talking about here is how much a company can afford to spend for one customer. So here's what I mean by that. So let's give me a scenario here on fact number 2. We have company A and then company B. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, so here's the thing. So what I mean here is that let's say company A is trying to get new customers. Okay, do you guys understand? I think it's pretty much basic, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. The only way for businesses to make money is to get customers to buy from them or to get customers to avail for their services, right? Does that make sense for you guys? Right? Okay. So the truth is, like the obvious truth is that no one will just buy from your brand. Um, no one will buy from your brand, from your business out of the blue. There's always going to be a reason as to why they buy from your brand. It could be because they saw an ad. It could be because they saw a friend wearing really nice stuff and they wanna have it as well. There's so many ways to get about to do this. Okay, but in the game of marketing, it's all about how much a business can spend to acquire a customer. So especially on Facebook. Here's what I mean by that. So let's say a company can spend a maximum of $10 per customer. Okay, so what I mean by that is each new customer
Will have $1 each.
they have a budget of $1,000. Okay. Okay, so this means that company A can have a max, like can spend a maximum of $10 per customer. This means that if a customer will cost $11 to acquire, they will go broke. Okay, does this make sense for everyone? Okay, so what I mean by that, if a customer will cost $11 to acquire, they will go broke. Okay, so before I continue, does this make sense for anyone in company A? So the first situation is company A can spend $10 per customer, a maximum of $10 per customer. They have a budget of $1,000, which also means that if a customer will cost $11 to acquire, they will go broke. So what do I mean by that? So like if they have $1,000, okay, to spend, that means that every time a new customer purchases only $10 worth of products, services. Okay. So here's what I mean by this. So company A, so what I mean by that, okay, so let me do some math, okay? So this is not going to be rocket science, but I just need you guys to comprehend and understand these because this is going to change the game, like once you guys understand this and fully comprehend this. Okay, so let's say example, soap. Okay, it's expensive. It's a $10 facial soap product. So here's what I mean by that. This is what they're actually selling. Okay, so let's just focus on this first and what I'm highlighting. So company A is selling a $10 facial soap product. Does this make sense for someone? For everyone? Put in yes in the put in following in the chat if your guys are following. Just that. Okay. They're selling a $10. Okay, following. Cool. Okay, cool. Now, this means that a new customer purchases only $10 for product. Okay, so the second thing is that not necessarily bad. This means that if a new customer purchases only one product, their order value is going to be $10. Okay, so let me give you a scenario here. So if the company is selling a $10 product, okay, and they acquire new customers, and provided that each new customer only buys one soap to try things out, that means that the order value, okay, or the value of like the total value of their order is going to be $10. Okay, so does this make sense for people? Put in yes if this makes sense. Right, and cool. Cool. So okay, so this is like the parameters, okay? So this will then make sense for you. This means that when someone pays Facebook to show their ads, it is all about, okay, how do I explain this? So here, let me explain this way. When someone pays Facebook will then give you kind of like some parameters, like, hey, Facebook, here's $10. Show this ad to this people for at this specific amount of time. Okay. Now, it's all about making sure that you get that okay. So when someone pays Facebook to show their ads, not you. They're usually doing it to bring more customers. Okay, so is this still making sense for you guys? Okay. It's a $10 facial soap product. This means that if a new customer purchases only one product, total value of their order is going to be $10 provided. Okay. Now, what if a new customer purchases two products or two soaps? How much is the order value going to be?
$5.
Okay, so if each customer purchases two soaps, what is the total value of their order? Normally, $20, right? $20. Right? So does this make sense for people? Is this making sense? Okay, is this making sense? Okay, so right? Okay. So just on this alone, which is gonna make more sense for the business? To convince people to only just buy one product, or to convince people to buy two products, or two soaps, two pieces of soap? Which is going to make sense for the business? Or which is going to make more money for the business? Buy two, correct. So if a business brings in 10 customers, this means that they're making $100 in revenue. Does that make sense, guys? For this specific, situation, right? Okay, so is this making sense for people? Now, is this making more sense for you guys? Okay. Now, you see here, it's all about how many customers you can bring in. So this comes down to me explaining what CPA is. CPA equals how much money you're spending versus how many new customers you've brought in. Okay, does this make sense for people? Okay, so for example, $1,000 ad budget brings in 10 customers. $1,000 ad budget brings in 15 customers. Okay, so let me put in here CPA equals CPA equals. So which do you guys, I have a question for you guys. Campaign 1 versus campaign 2, just looking at it, you spent $1,000 to bring in 10 customers, and then you've spent like $1,000 to bring in 15 customers. Which is better here? Campaign 2, right? But what if for campaign 1, but okay, so of course CPA is campaign 2. Okay, so like are you guys finally understanding how much like how cool Facebook is, probably for the first time? But right, so okay, so now you have a CPA. So what ends up happening here is you'll calculate that for every $1,000 you're spending and you acquire 10 customers, that means that $100. This also means every $100 you spend acquires a new customer. Does this make sense for you guys? Equals a new customer. Put in yes on the chat if this makes sense for you. Okay, so if you spend $1,000 on ads, okay, and that ad brings you 10 customers, that means that for every $100 you spend in Facebook, you bring in 1 customer. If you're confused, put in confused in the chat. It's totally fine. If you understand it, put in yes in the chat. Cool. So is this like college grade math? No, it's very simple. Anyone could really literally understand this. It's very basic arithmetic math, right? Cool. So all you have to do here is, let's get my calculator. So then what we're gonna do in the calculator right now is like for every $1,000, it brings in 15 new customers. So that means that for every $66.67 CPA per hold on. Okay, so this means, guys, that for every $66.67 you spend a customer. Okay, for campaign 2, this means that for every $66 that you spend in Facebook, you acquire a new customer. Okay, so does that make sense for you guys? Is this making sense for everyone now? Like what CPA means? Like, I don't want you to memorize it, but I want you guys to really comprehend and understand what CPA means. Do you guys understand what CPA means now? Yes, cool. Now, before I continue, are there any questions at this point of the class? Questions? None? Nada? Okay, the fact 2, we'll get there. Cool. Which is CPA. Now, the big question here is I have for campaign 1, A, B, and C. I have 3 choices. Now, the big question here is this. Now that we understand, okay, now that we understand how CPA is, I want you guys to answer, everyone here to answer. This is going to be a very interactive class. So this is not in comparison. For campaign 1, do you guys think that it's profitable? Put in A. If you guys think it's unprofitable, put in B. If you think that it can't be determined, put in C. Why is it C? Can anybody unmute yourself and actually let me know why it's C? Why you can't determine?
Hi. Hi, Coach.
Yep. What's up? Hey, Mark.
Hi. I'm a bit confused. But to answer the question, I chose C because uh, based on the given campaign 1, it doesn't state how much the capital or how much the product initially is.
Cool.
The other thing is it cannot be determined because we don't know yet if the 10 customers, like for example, one customer bought 5 soap, right? And then for the 15 customers, which is for the campaign 2, it's possible that each customer just bought 1 soap, so can't be determined.
Okay, right? So what I'm really asking here is this. That is really cool. That is so smart. Who answered that again? Who answered that? You,
Yeah.
Jet?
Yes.
Yes, Jet. Quick question, Jet. Do you have any experience in running Facebook traffic? Like ads and all that kind of stuff for companies?
Yep.
Makes sense.
I do have, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So you do understand what AOV means and all the kind of stuff and upsells and downsells.
Upsells and downsells, yeah. But the other terms, I
AOV.
have to be honest, yeah. I don't know the other terms yet.
Yeah,
so.
okay. But like anyway, here's what I want to, okay, so now let me repeat the question again. Okay, I've added a new variable and it's known as product price. The product price is $50, which means that every product that they purchase is $50. Does that make sense for everyone? Okay, now I want to ask the question again. Put in A in the chat if you think campaign 1 is profitable. Put in B in the chat if you think campaign 1 is unprofitable, and put in C if you think the profitability of the campaign still can't be determined. Again, I'm gonna put in okay. I'm gonna put in a bar here to separate everything. Okay, cool. So everyone put in your answers. Put in your answers here. What do you guys think? Is it A, B, or C? They have $1,000 ad budget, and that brings in that brought in 10 customers. Okay, guys, what are your answers now that I've added the product price? B, 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 B. We have people as well saying A. Okay. Cool. How about the others? Still thinking? Okay, so Mikhail, I love that you're now you're now opening up. Can you unmute yourself and then let's have a chat about like how you came up with those numbers?
Hi, coach.
Yo, what's up, bro? Cool. So yeah, say that both ad campaigns, ad costs are really high, and the profits like $500 in ad one and 66 in plus in ad two.
Yeah, it's a cost $1,000 brings in 10 customers, and
Yeah.
if those 10 customers buys $50 each, so that only adds up to $500, and you spent $1,000 for the FB ads. So for second campaign, 15 customers, and they buy 50 dollars worth of product. So that's about 650.
Yep. Cool. Now the big question that I want to ask everyone is: did I say how many? So this goes back again to what Jet says, which is: did I say here how many products they actually bought? Did I really say here how many products actually bought? That the customer bought? Not yet, right? So in reality, you don't really know. You don't know. It's like when a client talks to me about, okay, here we spent $1,000 in ads. It's a $50 product. Okay, cool, whatever. Because like a product price could be 11, but the offer is get 5 for just $230, $200, or buy 4, get 1 free. Okay, does that make sense for you guys? Does this make sense for you? Like, what if the offer right now is actually, it is get 5 for 200? Does that make sense? Everyone is all like, shit. Kid, does this make sense? Okay, put in yes in the chat if now it makes sense for you guys. Okay, put in yes in the chat if now this shit makes sense now. So the product price is $50, but the offer, what does an offer mean? It means like, how much are you really? How much? Well, like, what's the offer? So like, oh, by the way, it's a free plus shipping offer. Okay, cool. But like, whatever. Now, the reason why I'm like twisting your brains right now to really think about this is because I will then give you guys the reality of everything related about business, and in terms of like how I'm going to answer fact number 2. In business, the game is won when you can spend more money to acquire a customer. Okay, so I'm gonna get there, but I need to build things up so that you guys understand the fundamentals of how marketing really works. Okay, so if this makes sense, put in a big YES on the chat if it makes sense now. Put in yes. If you're confused, by the way, put in confused. I just want to understand, like, get you guys to understand like how shit works. Cool. Now the product price is $50. The offer is get 5. and it can actually, cool. So Joy is confused. Okay, so Joy, let me ask you a question. What exactly are you confused about?
Wait, coach. Regarding this offer,
Yeah.
it confused me more about those numbers.
So you're now more confused about the offer, Joy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, coach.
So what ends up happening, Joy, is every single ad that is on Facebook, what ends up really happening is that when you click this shit right here, but sorry, but I'm really, I'm very outspoken. That's and vulgar. But like when you click this right here, it leads you to another page. Does this make sense for you, Joy? Okay.
Yes, coach.
And for every offer, there are so many ways to go around how you can convince people to actually buy more. So sometimes the product price could be $50, but then if you buy, but the only way people can buy is if they can only buy 4 products. So like, you see how like on different landing pages there is what I call as main offers and side offer. A side offer is get one for $50. Okay, does that make sense for you guys? And then side offer 2. Get 2 for $99. Save $1.
I got it, coach.
Um, buy 5, get 1 free for $200. And I think this is save $50, right? Okay, is this still making sense for you guys? Because what I'm really saying here is like when people click the ad, what happens is that boom, they'll go to the landing page and they will actually, you know, like, oh shit, it's like $500 save 0. It's two products and it's $99, so they save $1. Oh shit, if I get 4, that's $200. I'll save $50 and get one. You get one for free, right? So does that make sense for you guys? Okay, put in yes in the chat if now it makes even more sense to how this thing works. Cool. Now, this for every new customer, that is what you call as CPA, cost per acquisition, the cost that you keep spending for you to acquire one customer. Does that make sense for you guys? Okay. Now, do you guys understand what CPA is? Now there's another metric which I want to introduce to you, and it's called AOV. And it's called average order value. Okay, so what is average order value? Average order value equals the average amount of dollars spent on a single order. Okay. So an average order value, of course, can only be calculated as number of orders divided by price of total value of each order. Now, is this making sense for you guys? Does this definition at least make sense for all of you? Put in yes in the chat if this makes sense for you. If you're confused, it's fine. I'll explain this to you, but put in confused. I wouldn't say we're confused, but okay, cool. Joy's confused. It's fine. Everybody else? Okay, so I'm gonna add this. So 50 plus 75 equals 125 plus 50. So 175 plus 150. Shit. Equals 325. Total value. Okay, now does anyone understand this? How average order value is calculated and how it makes, why I'm gonna explain in a bit like how this makes sense. But let's say one customer purchased $50 and another customer purchased $75 and another customer's purchased $50 and another customer purchased $150. So how many orders were there? There are 4 orders. Okay, makes sense. And so what ends up happening is you add on all the orders, which is 4, and you add on all the value, the total value of these orders. So big, whatever. So whatever there could be 3 products. Okay, this could be 1 product. It could be product A. And this one could be 1 product, but product B, whatever. But like, do you guys get the gist of this? Okay, do you guys get the gist of this, right? My question for you, I think Joy was also confused. Joy, is this making sense for you right now? Right? Okay, cool. Now, why is AOV important? AOV actually is called how much is actually being spent on orders. Okay, so why does that play into a big role in campaign 1? Because in campaign 1, you also need to kind of understand that in campaign 1, I'm going to put in Facebook ad campaign 1. Okay, so I don't want to confuse you guys. You guys are going to be confused. But let's say like 1,000 Facebook ad budget. Okay, so what ends up happening here is average order value. Okay, if you guys understand what AOV is right now, how it's calculated. Okay, and just that. Okay, if you understand that, put in understand on the chat right now. If you don't, put in not sure yet. If you're really not sure what it really means. Okay, so I'll be explaining something really very crucial here, and it's going to make you insanely smart in the online marketing space, whether you're a copywriter, whether you're a sales closer. Once you start talking these numbers to your client, it is going to create 70% more certainty in how to close a client once you actually go with AOV. Once you stop talking to them about AOV, asking them about the offers, talking about marketing, blah, blah, that will understand later, but this will be your foundation of how you understand this, okay? If you understand, put in understand. If you don't understand, put in not sure in the chat, okay? Just be honest. I'm here to support you, not to make you confused. And I will not continue until everyone starts replying. So I want 28 replies. Anyone who doesn't reply, I'll kick you out of the group right now. I'm kidding. But I probably might. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 people. Everyone else, do you guys understand? If you're not sure, put in not sure. Cool. Now, everyone understands this. Cool. So I'm going to move this to the side, okay? I'm going to move these to the side. Now, so we have side offer and we have AOV, okay? So AOV actually means how much. Okay, so now I'm gonna get you guys to do the math. Now our AOV is Let me see. Okay, so now our AOV, I'm gonna put in another parameter here, which is known as AOV, which is $200 or average order value. Okay, now I'm gonna ask you guys again. And let's turn this into a mastermind so that you guys will understand, because this is like the conversations that we have with our ad managers. We have an ad manager, ladies and gentlemen, who manages 300 in the agency. Our ad manager manages $325,000 in ads every month. That's how much my clients are spending in total on Facebook ads. So right now, long story short, we're managing 15,779,000 in Facebook ads, making sure that we increase AOV and decrease CPA, cost per acquisition. There are other numbers as well that you will encounter, which is CPL, cost per lead, cost per click, and all that shit that actually doesn't really matter that much to me. But you will understand what a copywriter really does in the online space once you understand this. Okay, so I want to ask you guys again. Okay. Now that we have this, I want to ask you guys this simple question. We have here a product price, it's $50. Product A price is $50. The side offer is like get one for $50. Side offer is get two for $99. Main offer is get one free, which is $200. Then we have an AOV of $200. Okay. Now the big question that I want to ask for you guys is this Facebook ad profitable, unprofitable, or it can't be determined? Put in the chat below. What will you say? A, B, or C? Okay. What do you guys think? Anyone? Cool. So you have A, C, A, B, A. Okay, now the big question. Okay, so we have people who are answering. How about the others? What do you guys think? We have A for Jet. Cool. How about the others? So many people in this room. Okay, cool. Now, I want to ask you guys about this question, okay? I want to ask someone here in the group about how they came up with the answer. Is anyone here comfortable to actually unmute yourself? Then we can talk about like how you came up with the answer. Feel free to unmute.
Yes, coach. Actually, ang tinignan ko lang kasi personally, no, ayoko din ng numbers. So, ang tinignan ko lang dyan is yung every $100 you spend, there's a new customer. Tapos, 1,000 yung budget. So, basically, 10 customers. Ang average order value is 200. So, 10 times 200 is 2,000. So, parang ang kinita niya dito sa 1,000 ads, or at least for this tactic or campaign, kasi we can't tell baka may iba pang ginastos. At least dito ang kinita is 1,000. Well, para sa akin lang naman yun. So I came up with it is profitable.
Cool. Now here's the thing. I know that a lot of you guys okay, so let me by the way, Jet, can you share your screen? I mean, share your can you turn your video on if you can? Hey Gloria, what's up? I see you. Jet, you there? Or is it uncomfortable for you to actually do video right now? Jet, you there?
Sorry, coach. Are you calling me? sorry. Is it Joy?
No, Jet. But Joy.
Okay.
Joy, but just okay.
Sorry.
Jet, you there? Or where's Jet? Did he just? Hold on, where's Jet? Jet,
Nawala yata siya.
I'm not sure what's going on. How about you, Joy? You there?
Yes, coach.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk with you. You know what, guys? For the first comers here, this is the first time that I've ever done math in my classes. I think since my start in the Quick Pro, most of the hey Jet, hold on. Most of the classes that I actually talk about in Quick Pro are more about copywriting sales, which is like more persuasion stuff, how to write really cool stuff, and of course like how to sign really high paying clients. But it's really more the mindset stuff and getting your shit together as a freelancer, because a lot of people here have a lot of emotional baggage that they bring, which is affecting their work, which is like their families not believing in them. They're worried about what their friends might think about them, all this kind of stuff. They have so many excuses. They have really low self-esteem. They're shy, they're introverts, and they have so many excuses that will really hinder them from actually becoming a successful freelancer. And so what ends up happening is there are internal and emotional blocks that they don't think are actually serious, which are actually resulting to them actually not succeeding in the online space. So we talk about a lot of that as well, because at the end of the day, it really comes down to your implementation and your consistency of that implementation that will actually get you the results that you want. And it's not watching this, videos on Quick Pro. Normally my conversation comes around that, not normally on math. However, I'm curious here before I start this conversation with Jet, who here hates numbers? Because I also hate numbers. So like put me in the chat if you hate numbers. And like, this shit math stuff, right? Yeah, Marianne, same. Karen, same. Joy, same. Who loves numbers? Yeah, so like, yeah, we have 3 people. But the reality of the matter of the fact is that you don't you don't need algebra or calculus. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe you need basic algebra, which is just AOV equals blah, 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 blah. But it's nowhere near calculus where you have it's rocket science. This is so simple. It's just so what I really like to do is I just want to understand what I'm doing, because how are you going? If I was your client, you were a copywriter, you're here to actually, we're having a conversation about how I can pay you like $1,000 USD per month. And how are you going to start giving me certainty after all of the emotional stuff, after all of those pep talk, like, hey, I'm gonna write for you. I'm gonna write Instagram captions for you. Oh, I'm gonna write your Facebook ads. And then you can't really piece together how we're gonna create an ROI, a game plan to create an ROI of me actually making more than the $1,000 I'm spending on you every month. Does this make sense for people? Okay. You can talk about all your story all you want. Like, hey, I really love to be a copywriter. Hey, I really love to become this, this, and that. I'm gonna do this, this, and that. I'm an ad manager. I'm a Facebook, blah, 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 blah. But then when you don't have numbers behind you, or you don't know how to actually create expectations on numbers, which is what businesses are built upon, then how do you expect yourself to convince someone, a client, a prospect who doesn't know you, but has only hopped on a call with you on a freaking Zoom call or a Skype call to actually say yes to an offer? Does that make sense for you guys? Because this is copywriting and sales closing. This isn't like video editing where it's like, hey, I'm gonna charge like $600 per month, $500 per month. Sure, yeah, you do this video edit. It's not that simple when it comes to copywriting and sales. Because like copywriters get paid like I charge like $6,000 for a full scale funnel, right? And that's only gonna make sense for someone who's gonna drive a shitload of traffic to that funnel. If you guys understand what funnels are, but like if their ad budget is like $5,000 per month on Facebook, on Instagram, and YouTube, then they're gonna burn a lot of money if they have a really high CPA, a cost per acquisition. If like they're spending $100 per customer, if I can bring that down to $50, like $6,000 on like something that saves $50 per customer is a lot of money. Are you guys understanding what I'm trying to say here? Like if they would spend, if they would do the funnels themselves, sure, they'd save $6,000, but they'd also waste $50 per customer that is being brought to the business. Okay? And so like for you guys who hate numbers, you guys are probably like, ah, shit, Coach Clint's talking about numbers. I'm not following anymore. But that's already a big problem if you want to become a copywriter or a sales closer, if you don't even know how to convince them logically. Because sales comes two ways. You convince people emotionally, which is like how the outcome will affect their lives. But then you also gotta convince them logically. How are we gonna logically game plan-ish, step by step, achieve that outcome? Because if you don't do it logically, what ends up happening is like people are gonna be like, yeah, but I don't know, man. I like you. I like the vibe, but I just don't see how this will come to reality. So, for that reason, I'm out. It's like Shark Tank. But so do you guys understand this? Okay, so like, am I communicating a point here where you don't need calculus, you don't need like extreme mathematics, you just need basic logic, you just need to speak business. And sure, accounting is business, but you're not an accountant. You're just here to understand how much are you spending per lead, how much are you spending to acquire a new customer, how much is each customer coming down, because at the end of it all comes down to how much money you're spending and how much money you're making, right? Like that's the basic where that's where everything comes down to. It's just complex because there's Facebook ads, there's Instagram ads, there's email, there's blah blah blah, and so many associated costs within the business. It makes everything more complicated. But like, ladies and gentlemen, like if you understand like how you can piece together, like, hey, if you bring me in, amount spent, the ratio of amount spent versus the ratio of amount you bring into the business becomes so much better. It will make sense for the business. Okay, so if you understand this simple concept or the point that I'm trying to make here. Okay. Okay, now the next question that I'm gonna ask you guys is, you guys understanding this concept is useless. What's useful is, are you guys willing to understand how the numbers work for you guys to make the money that you want as an online freelancer, as a highly paid copywriter or sales closer? Because there's going to be people here who understand this, but they won't be doing it anyway. And that's fine, because that's your choice, not mine. For me, if I really think about it, I just need to spend a few minutes of this every day, maybe 15 minutes, and I'll understand how this works. And then I'll be able to convince a client with crystal clear clarity how this project is going to come out as a success, which will build certainty within me, okay? Which also builds certainty on my client, which also equals more money. Okay, this is just it. So anyway, this is just me like talking to people about that 80% of success is really mindset, because not everyone are willing to do this. Like the 20, okay, so like there's only like 5 or 10% of the people here, rough estimate, who are really going to who are going to search on Google, or maybe even 5% of people who are going to go on YouTube, on Google, to really understand how these works. And even fewer are going to reach out to me to ask for resources, supplemental resources, to drive you to specific places that can actually help you even more. But the reality of the matter of the fact is that the 80% and 90% who are just going to keep watching videos over and over again, I see a big problem, because progress, there's a lot of people convince themselves that because they're watching videos, because they're jumping on mentorship calls, because they're reading books, that they're actually making progress. But in reality, they are not working on their skills. They're not writing copy. They're not reaching out to clients. They're not practicing their sales closing skills. They're not recording their voice, speaking in the English to actually see hear how they sound, to improve their sales. They're not practicing and closing deals with other people in Quick Pro, which is like they're still bouncing from one opportunity to the next. They're doing sales closing, they're doing copywriting, they're doing graphical editing, they're doing bookkeeping, and they're doing trading, and they're doing e-com. And then it's been 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, really no action has been taken. And then they ask themselves, I'm wondering why I'm confused. I'm wondering why there's no progress. Okay, so does it make sense for people? Like, I hope a lot of people woke up from like what I just said, like a few minutes, like just this moment, because the truth is, like, information doesn't do anything. Application does. That's what I keep talking about with my mentees in my mentorship group, which focus on copywriting. I always stop reading freaking copyright, how to write copy books. All of those are useless. You already have RMBC. Apply that. You will suck in the beginning, because I know that myself. I sucked in the beginning, first few days, and then you will improve. Okay, it's normal. Everyone here, there are people who understand the concept of CPA and AOV, average order value, and all these kinds of stuff the first time I said it on this call, and that's great. And then there are people who don't understand it immediately, even after after I explain it like 3 times, right? Out of those people, there's going to be people who are going to rewatch the recording of this call and see how they can best understand that. Or they can actually watch some YouTube videos of better explanations for them to understand that. And then then there's going to be a few group of people who are going to do nothing. They're just going to call this a day, and there's no progress being made. Where is that decision coming from? Your mindset, right? You guys see how this shit works? So at the end of the day, like, what really happens is, like, it's really all about mindset. So if you guys don't have a really good mindset, like, everything, will turn to ashes, right? Cool. So anyway, enough pep talk. Let's talk about numbers, which a lot of us actually hate. Let's talk with Jet. Jet, what's up?
Please don't mind the chair. My cats destroy pretty much everything. So, pero daw nagagalit kasi I figured I have to live with it. So,
fine, bro. Like, all good. Cool. So Jet, you came up with those numbers. And let's do a little bit of some screen share. All right. So let's talk about this real quick. And then we're gonna go with $1,000 Facebook ad budget and 10 customers. How do you? So your answer is A, right? This ad is actually profitable. Cool. So let's talk about, like, how do you come up with the numbers now? Like how can you say that this ad is profitable?
As has already been mentioned earlier, we spent $1,000 on FB ads, right? To brought in 10 customers. So, and for each customer, the average order value is $200. So times 10, that's 2,000. So $2,000 minus $1,000 is equals to $1,000. So, yun yung profit. So, for me, I think the campaign one is profitable. Without looking dun sa side offer kasi lalo ko nalito sa side offer 1 and 2.
Okay.
Yun.
Jet, were you the one who asked about fact number 2? Oh shit! Who was the one who asked about fact number 2 again earlier? Some guy. Hold on. Who was the one who asked earlier about fact number 2 about? Was it? I think it was Mark. Mark, you there? Is Mark still there? I think it was some Mark.
Yes, Coach.
Were you the one who asked about the fact number 2 earlier about?
Yes.
The game is won when you can spend more to acquire a customer.
Yes.
Right? Jet, I'm curious. I think you've run Facebook ads before or some sorts because like you understand this game. Do you understand what I mean by fact number 2? In this business, the game is won when you can spend more to acquire a customer.
Of course, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because wait, let me read that again. In business, the game is won when you can spend more time to acquire a customer. Kung nakaka-spend ka ng mas malaki, Tagalogin natin, sir, no? Para siguro mas maintindihan. Sa business, kung mas nakakagastos ka ng malaki to acquire a customer, ibig sabihin, nag-purchase, bumili kaya nga customer, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, that's a win, right?
Yeah.
So, yun nga, pag mas malaki yung, pag alam mong kumikita, well, I mean, for example, sa unang campaign mo, naglabas ka ng 100 pesos, kumita ka ng 500. So, sa susunod, syempre lalakihan mo na yung budget kasi alam mo nga kumikita right? So,
okay, so let me explain now. Mark, are you listening to me right now?
Yes, I am. Can I share two cents worth?
What's that?
Can I say, here's my here's how I understand the fact 2. I see it in two perspectives. First one is if the game is won, if you can spend more to acquire customer or customers. My initial impression was kind of off because I'm under the impression that if you can save your expenses and you can gain more, that's how you can win the game. That's my perspective number 1.
True.
Perspective number 2 is a long time ago I heard about this principle, big fish versus small fish. So it's like just an analogy. If you are, let's say, as an establishment like SM, or let's start with 7-Eleven. If you're 7-Eleven, if you are getting revenues, the usual like ₱1 million every month, but here comes along a big business, SM, situated near your store, and SM is now earning 1 billion per month, and that eats the small fish. So that is another company that somehow spends more to attract more customers from that small fish, and that's how SM, the big fish, wins the game. That's how I understand.
That is actually kind of like accurate, but I'm gonna explain it more now and how this actually works and extrapolate upon what Jet is actually saying, where like on fact number 2, like the more you can spend to acquire a customer, the more you win. Here's the thing.
Good coach. Thank you.
Cool, right? So let's see this. What happens like when you're really paying Facebook $1,000 in FB ads, there's not only 10 people who see the ad. There's like thousands of them, actually probably even millions, depending like how like what your ad campaign is. Does that make sense for people? Okay. And only a small percentage of those people who see those ads, depending on how good the copywriter is or how good the ad is, will actually convert into leads, and even fewer actually convert into actual customers. Does that make sense for you guys? Okay. So
yes, coach.
Now, let us freaking talk about spend Facebook ads, and let's talk about metrics. I'm gonna make this up. Don't quote me on this, but let's say views. We have 150K views, right? We have clicks. Let's say we got, I don't know, 3K, 3,000 clicks. Add to carts, we got 1,000 people who added to cart. Okay, so does this make sense for people? So like you spent $150,000 in Facebook, 150,000 people, I don't know, like you spent $1,000 in Facebook, 150,000 people saw the ad, 3,000 people clicked. Okay, so is everyone following me on this? Like, okay,
Yes, coach.
3,000 people clicked, 3,000 clicked, added to cart. Okay, now the metric is that, okay, 10 bot stuff. This is really awful metrics, by the way, but but I just made this up. Okay, so ta-da. But like just follow me with this, right? So like you spend $1,000 Facebook ads. Okay, these are all these numbers, right? Yeah, it's really awful, right? 1,000 added to cart, but only 10 really bought it. That sucks. But I'm sorry. Okay, maybe let's whatever. I'm not here to be realistic. I'm just here to get you guys to understand the concept, right? Cool. Now we have 10 bought some stuff and then brought in we brought in 10 customers. Okay. Each customer spend like an average of $200 in AOV. This means there's probably people here who bought $300. There's people who just bought $50. There's people blah, 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 blah. But when you sum it up, the average amount that is being spent on a single order is $200. Does that make sense? Okay. Make sense for people? Following me? Okay, so the average amount that's being spent in each order, and every single order is $200. Now, what ends up happening is, cool, we do all the math. The bottom line is we made a profit of $1,000, right? Keynote here, profit, revenue, $2,000. Make sense? Make sense, ladies and gents? Okay.
Yes, coach.
Okay. With it, this is just, like, of course, there's going to be other business expenses like employees and email marketing software and ClickFunnels and all that other subscription shit they have. But I'm going to make it very simple for you guys. Maybe in total expenses, the business actually just spends $1,000 per month. And now they bring in $2,000 per month. They have a profit of $1,000 per month. Now, campaign number 2, I can increase my ad spend now. Now I can increase my ad spend to, okay, now I can increase my ad spend to $2,000 in Facebook ads. Okay, maybe you need like $2,000 in Facebook ads. Maybe this time 175K people, 175K people saw the ad, 6,000 click. Now it's getting better conversions. 1,100 added to cart. 20 people bought stuff. Brought in 20 customers. AOV is still 200. Okay. So now we have 20 customers. Now what happens is, okay, so I'm gonna explain everything. I'm gonna back everything up, but you'll actually see here how when a business can spend more money to acquire a customer, it scales through the roof. And it's the secret to going from $0 to $1,000, 1,000 buyers a day. But you see here, on the first ad campaign, all of these are going to confuse all of you. Like, the views, the clicks, the add to carts, the new customers. But the smart people will only really focus on the numbers that they really care about, which is what Jet did. Jet was like, I think Jet was just like, okay, cool. Like, there's side offer 1, side offer 2, main offer, and all these kind of bullshits. Like, he doesn't really care about that, because what really matters at the end of the day is how much people are spending and how much you're spending to get them to spend. But you see here, guys, on campaign number 1, you spent $1,000, right? Make sense? Because you had profit on campaign number 2, now you can spend more money. So if on March you spent $1,000 to acquire 10 customers, on April, now you spend $2,000 to acquire 20 customers. Okay, so does that make sense for you? Okay, guys. So like now you spend $2,000 to acquire new customers, brought in new customers, blah blah blah. So now your revenue is $4,000. Now your profit is now your revenue is okay. I'm gonna explain this to you. This is what all it comes down to. Okay, so here's what happens. Okay, so ad number 1, you spent $1,000 in Facebook ads. Blah 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 blah. It brought 10 new customers. Okay, does this make sense for you guys? Okay, is this making sense for you guys? So within 10 new customers, you brought in $2,000 from 10 customers. Okay, you spent $1,000. You had a profit of $1,000. Now in the next month, you now double everything. Now you've spent $2,000 in Facebook ads, brought in 20 new customers. Those 20 new customers still at the same average AOV. Now everything has now doubled, and your revenue is now at $4,000. Spend $2,000 and profit, and your profit is now $2,000. Is this making sense for you guys? Now let's repeat the same stuff. Now, okay, so let me. Now everything is getting better because now you're spending more. Now because you have spent now you have $2,000 in profit. Now in campaign number 3, let's say it's now May. Now you increase your ad spend even more. Now you increase your ad spend to $2,500, right? Revenue from last campaign, right? So you have $4,000, right? Okay, so you have $4,000. So you spent $2,500 on FB ads. Okay, so does that make sense for people? How much is left in your bank account? So 4,000 minus 2,000, that is $1,500 is in your bank account, or whatever, right? So as you can spend, and now you see this, there's $2,500 in Facebook ads. Now you have let's say 200K views, maybe 7,500 clicked, maybe 1,200 added. By the way, I'm just this is just in an idealistic world, right? If you have, but whatever. But and now let's say 30 bought some stuff, and AOV is 200. So 30 customers times 200, how much is that? 30 times 2, that's, I don't know, I'm stupid right now. $6,000?
$6,000.
6,000.
6,000. That's fine.
No, this is wrong. This is actually $4,000. That's right. Right. So now it's now $6,000. So does that make sense for you guys? Okay. So revenue is now $6,000. Spend is $2,500. How much is the profit? For
3,500.
3,500. Okay. So you see here, guys, Facebook. So you have 3,500 here plus 1,500 in your bank account earlier that you did not spend. Now, how much money do you have? You have $5,000 now.
$5,000.
You see how this shit works?
Yes.
Okay. That means that as long as you see how we continually increase the amount of ad spend we had because we have a really high number, we have a profitable offer that scales on cold traffic. Okay. Now, would you guys want to produce these results for your clients? right? It's anyone's dream to produce results for these kinds of clients. When you do something like this for your client, how much certainty do you think they'll have? Okay, so like, is it a guarantee, coach? Of course, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee in freaking marketing. It's all about testing what works and what doesn't work. But it's also within your skill sets to actually know what to test. Does that make sense for people? Because in reality, in marketing, it's all about testing. Some of you guys, like once you understand higher level copy, there's story angles. There's success story angles. There is celebrity angles. There is problem solution angles. There's curiosity based angles. There's discovery based angles. I'm going to overload your brains. But there's Q&A angles. There is value driven educational angles. You see, there's so many shit that you have to test. Like what you're just seeing here is the numbers. Does that make sense? But as a copywriter, what you're going to do is on Facebook ad, you'll test story angles, right? And so let's say the story angles brought you okay, so maybe for each angle you spend $200. Okay, does that make sense for you guys? Maybe for each angle you spend $200. What do I mean about that? So let's say as a copywriter, you write a story of how a mom made money from home, blah, 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 right? That's a story angle. Okay, does that make sense for you guys? Don't understand like how I do it. Just understand the what. Okay, are you guys still following now? Like how all this works? So yeah, so your client, hey, I need a story, blah blah blah, and this one brings in $176 per customer, right? This one actually brings in 156 per customer. The celebrity angle brings in shitty 40, like a staggering $233 per customer, right? And then you have a problem solution. I don't want to whatever, but I'm just gonna go with just value-driven angle. Maybe on the value-driven angle, you actually start getting a $117 per customer. Okay, so maybe you're running 4 ads at the same time. How much are you actually spending? Times 4, that's $800 per month. Okay, does that make sense for you guys? So maybe for a marketing campaign, each of you guys pay Facebook $20 per angle to test on your market to see what works. Okay, now I have a question for each and every single one of you. Out of all these angles, which angles are actually, what angle is the most profitable?
Celebrity.
Okay, so in celebrity, you're actually spending $233 per customer. So every $233 that's being spent, you're getting 1 customer. That means if you spend $2,330, you get 10 customers, if that makes sense. So guys, this is, by the way, CPA, cost per customer. Okay, so let's talk about this. So like put in here, what angle is the most profitable one for you to keep spending more money on?
Should be value driven angle.
Put in the chat. Put in the chat. Also, guys, don't be afraid to make a mistake. So if you're already scared to make a mistake just by putting your answer in the chat, then how are you going to expect to actually become a marketer or a freaking copywriter or a sales closer when you can't even when you're even running away from even participating in something as a mentoring program, if that makes sense? Again, that's what I talk about. Like everything still comes down to like mindset. But let's talk about it. We have the value driven, we have value driven angles, value driven angles. What are everyone's answers and where is everyone else? Hold on, I need charge. What's everyone else's answers? Okay. By the way, I'm only gonna continue. So you guys have a story angle. Cool. We have story angle from Joy. Cool. Who else has answers? Like with this. So I'm gonna make this even more obvious then. Let's 358 per customer, 109 per customer, 276 and 152. Right? We have, let's say we have 70, actually let's say 88 or $98 per customer. What do you mean success story? 152? Okay, look at these numbers real quick. Okay, cool. We have okay. By the way, this is not okay. So I'm gonna make it clear. This is how much a company has to spend to acquire one customer. So this is not revenue generated per customer. It's called CPA, cost per customer. This means that for every $276 that a company spends on ads, on story angles, they will get one customer, if that makes sense. I'm not talking about AOV or anything. I'm just talking about like how much you're spending per customer. Now, in terms of CPA, what is the most profitable angle here, in your opinion? Okay. Value-driven angles, value-driven angles, value-driven. True. Okay. Here's the reason why. If you have a $2,000 budget on, so like let's say you are a copywriter on campaign number on all three campaigns. Does that make sense for you guys? If you're a copywriter for all three campaigns, here's what happens. If you have a $2,000 ad spend, okay, follow me with this one. Okay, so if you have a $2,000 ad spend, okay, if you have a $2,000 ad spend, and we calculate the number of customers, so we are going to do, oh shoot. So we are going to divide, oh my God. Hold on, guys.
Lobat na, coach.
Yeah, actually, yes. Little bit of a panic over here, ladies and gentlemen, to be honest, but it's so good. Life is good. But I just need you guys to understand. We're almost done anyway. But you see here, number of customers created. So the story angles, if you have a $2,000 ad spend, no. In campaign one, right? Okay, are you guys following me? $2,000 divided by 276, that is 7 customers. Oops. Okay, does that make sense for you guys? For the success story angles, we divide that by 152 and we got 13 new customers. Okay, Now, we have the celebrity angles that that is a ridiculous $358. So $2,000 divided by 358. Shit. 2,000 divided by 358. That we got 5 customers, right? And then our value-driven our value-driven angles, it's like $2,000 divided by 98. That's 20 customers. Cool. So are you guys seeing how this works? Now, as a copywriter, this information means gold, because what you can do is you get to save more money. Why? Because you ditch all of these angles, and on campaign number 2, you focus on value-driven angles. Now, since you know that value-driven angles work, you ditch all the celebrity campaigns and all these success stories and the story angles. Now it's going to be about value-driven angle 1. Value-driven angle 2. Value-driven angle 3 and 4. Okay, so what ends up happening is you guys get to scale to the moon. Why? Because last time your value-driven angle is at $98. But what if you have $98 per customer? And then you have $101 per customer. And then you have $87 per customer. And then you have $66 per customer, which means that the company is spending less and less money to acquire one customer, because now you have data of what works and what doesn't work. Does this make sense for everyone? Is this making sense? Now when your story angles, on campaign number 2, the numbers become so much better, because now you know what works and what doesn't work. Does this make sense for people? Because if you divide this, if you literally like freaking divide this, if you divide the numbers, campaign number 2, maybe you have an ad budget of now $2,500, okay, because you made some profit since the last campaign. Now, if you divide that by 98, now you have 25 new customers. 25 new customers. On campaign number 2, you spent $101, 2,500 divided by 101, that's 24 customers, $87. Okay, so we have $2,500 divided by 87, and that's 28 customers. And now you have like $66, which is the biggest winner. $2,000 divided, no, 2,500 divided by 66, that's 37 customers. So on month 2, if you add these all up, that's 7 plus 13, 20, 25. On campaign 1, you have a total of 45 customers on campaign number 1. If people are following with me, you don't need to do the math. But all that I did is just add these. Okay, add 7, 13, 5, 15. On campaign 1, you brought in 45 customers, because you know that value-driven angles work. You ditch all of the other campaigns and focus on value-driven angles 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because of that information, okay, how many customers were you now able to bring? That's 25, okay, 25 plus 24 plus 28 plus 37. Boom, that's 114 customers. New customers versus 45 new customers. And on an average order value of like $200 per times 114 times 200, you've just bought in $22,000 for the business. in 1 month. Okay, as a copywriter. Now my question is for you guys: would it make sense for the business to pay you $3,000 per month if you could do this? If you brought
Yes.
$22,000 per month, would it make sense for a business to pay you $4,000 per month if you brought in this? If you brought in 140 new customers for them,
Yes.
would it make sense for a business to pay you $5,000 per month? It still wouldn't
Yes.
make freaking sense. You see, for so many people, this small little mindset doesn't deserve to hold you back on like how to understand numbers, because this is like where everything comes down to. You know, all that I'm taking is doing simple math, ignoring all of the other numbers that don't matter for me. But what really I'm just focusing on is like, how can I get my writing to work for them so that they bring in more customers at a less cost? Okay, does that make sense for people?
Yes, coach.
Okay, so a lot of people are gonna want the recording of this call, and I will upload this. Get the QuickBooks team to upload this as much as humanly possible. But you see, the truth is things are gonna be, yes, the lower they spend, the bigger the profit. That is very true, and that's very good that Mary Ann understands that. The reality of the matter, the fact, ladies and gents, is that it can actually become more complex than that, because what we have here is we have what we call as audience split testing, which means that a story campaign may not work, may be a winning campaign for men, but for women, the winning campaign for women, for their women audience, is actually the the value driven campaigns. So when you think about it, now you're bringing in two markets for the same business. And so the angle for the men is buy this for your girlfriend. And the angle for the women is that buy this to impress your boyfriend, right? So a copywriter can then be like, oh, this kind of angles work. And when you start writing that for your client, they make more money for you. And because you have all of these logical instances, then it's easier to convince them to pay you the money that you're asking for. Does that make sense for people? Right? So, cool. The goal of a copywriter is essentially bringing in more leads through the way that campaigns are planned out, in the way that they write things. Okay? So if an idiot writes the ads, people are going to ignore the ads. Right? Because the idiot doesn't know how to write ads. If the idiot doesn't know how to write emails, people will not click the email because the email subject lines are so bad, are so salesy, or they end up in spam, or they end up in freaking the promotions tab. Okay? Or if the copywriter focuses on Instagram captions, people will not really see anything different about that person who is on Instagram. But if a copywriter who knows what they're doing writes an Instagram caption, people will be so drawn to that person that they will start DMing that person to ask for help. Okay, does that make sense? If a copywriter writes something on a Facebook ad, people will click the ads. If a copywriter writes a sales page, people will buy. More people will buy. Okay, so this is the logical explanation to a business of like why they should hire you as a copywriter. I'm just doing that in terms of Facebook, but it applies to all platforms, which means that it can be done on Instagram. It can be done on emails as well. It also can be done the same in YouTube and everything. The key here is that your value proposition as a direct response copywriter is that the direct response that people will take action on once they see your copy is that they will buy, or they will sign up for an email, or they will sign up for the masterclass because you're so good at persuading them. Okay, now does everything make sense for people? If everything makes sense, put in a yes in the chat if this makes sense now on why copywriters for you make a shitload of money and why they can charge a shitload of money for their clients. You see, I think the biggest goal here that I really did reveal to each and every single one of you was the big demonstration of how you optimize campaigns from the start. I think that's the biggest thing, because a lot of people don't know how to test. They don't know even what to test. They're like, oh, let's do some kind of this shit and that shit on Facebook. And they really have no robust idea. They have no structures. They have no freaking templates. They're clueless. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to be your ad manager. Oh, I'm going to be your like copywriter. Yeah, sure. Like, and then the reality is they take on a client, and then when they start writing, they have no idea because they have no process to writing. But when you have a process for writing, when you have like strategies of like what to test, you will make money for clients eventually. But you see, then this comes down to explaining that if you have $10,000 to acquire a customer, if you have $10,000 to spend to acquire a customer, okay, you have like, let's say you have like, if you can spend $200 to acquire a customer, then you beat the other dude who can only spend $20 per month. Because like if if a business can only spend like $20 a month like to a customer, gross like gets one customer a month, cool. But then the client who can spend like $2,000 a month, boom, you get like 10 customers per month. Then another client spends $20,000 per month, right? 200 customers per month, boom. Then there's a client who then spends $200,000 per month, right? Those are like when you work with those clients. I haven't really worked with a client who has done those numbers yet, but like if I do, like that would be like crazy, because the amount of data that you'll see is crazy. But you see, guys, I think that's the biggest understanding that you can confidently say yourself. Not a lot of people understand that. The people who you see in Fiverr and Upwork and onlinejobs.ph, they don't know this stuff. What I'm really passing down to you is something that I've learned from a mastermind that we pay $3,800 a month for. So how much did that? I don't know, like I think it's like 170K per month, or
150.
So something along those lines, right? But like this mastermind is a group of copywriters and direct response marketers who, every week we jump on calls to, see like what's working and what's not working in the dating niche, in the financial niche, in the biz op niche, in the e-com niche, like how to make money from home niches and all these kinds of stuff. And it's like, there's so many ways to test about it. Like we even talk about like what kind of market actually comes down. We talk about what kind of stories actually work. That's how detailed we really go into. Because does that make sense for everyone? And right now I'm so into this that I can actually take a look at a funnel and then I can see like, ah, shit, this funnel won't work. Is not working. There's so many tricks that we can actually learn in really high level masterminds. For example, like funnel hacking a competitor on a specific ad that's been running for a week or 2 weeks. For all the ad managers out there, you can reverse engineer that. If you know that a certain ad set is working really well, what do you guys do? Keep running it and running it and running it and running it and running it, right? Because if like the numbers are good in that specific ad set, you keep running that, right? I don't know if like Jet gets me, but I think like if just like if you run ads before, you have like 6 ad sets and ad set number 1 is like working the best, and you keep running it until it dies, right? And then you come up with new creatives. But you see, there's so many strategies that really can only be that would cost thousands and tens of thousands of dollars and even hundreds of thousands of dollars to really figure out. But by just being around the right people, you will be able to really have a shortcut in the way that you serve clients, and of course, make a bunch of money, because at the end of the day, like copywriters can also like charge commission based as well. Okay, so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna do Q&A for everyone who is not serving a client, who are also serving. Yeah, 100%, Jet. So we're gonna talk about, okay, so like next, so like, okay, so is everyone understanding what I'm talking about? Like for the long story short of this one. Okay, so the truth is, everything is about knowing what to focus on. So a lot of people, when I shared the situation earlier, they would be confused about like, okay, there's side offer 1, there's side offer 2, and then there's also like a main offer, right? There's all these kind of numbers that will confuse you, but at the end of the day, what really just matters is like how much you spend and how much you're making back, and what angles are working. That's pretty much it. So there's so many ways, guys, like legit, like there are funnels that we test, like 50% of the people, we drive to a funnel where the price of the product is $50, and the other funnel, we drive them to everything's exactly the same. The only thing that's different is the price is like $100, like $97 per month. Legit. The funnel that was priced as $97 per month brought in more new customers than the $50 funnel. Like you're gonna really be like that doesn't make sense. $50 is cheaper than $97, right? True. But then it's actually, people actually thought that because it was way too cheap, they felt like they wouldn't really get the value they were looking for. So it's the same psychology where you probably saw something really nice, but because it was too cheap, you were like, I don't trust this product because it's too cheap. It's pretty interesting data. But like once you see that, at the end of the day, like what you're really just focusing on, by the way, I'm kind of getting anxious now because like I'm like at 4%. Let me charge. But the reality of the reality of the matter of the fact is like what you're really doing in actuality is like, hold on. Kind of like proving to people like how you can get them to spend more money with you. Okay. So yeah, that is pretty much the long story short of a copywriting. Legit, like if I was to talk to you guys about everything that I did, your brains would like hurt because like we do everything from emails to, we do everything from emails to different kinds of direct response copy. Hold on, guys. I should get this here. Okay, we're charging. So it's literally 11:50 p.m. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna stay for the first 10 minutes for Q&A. Anything around how to start your first client as a copywriter or as a sales closer, anything around like if you're beginning in this online space, like what would you do? Like what would you recommend? I'd really focus around your current situation and where your goals are at the moment, or like what you're really confused about right now, so that I can give you the best, highest level of support that will make sense for you at the moment. And other thing as well is for people who are media buyers, okay, people who are media buyers, people who are copywriters, people who are sales closers, in that space, people who are funnel builders as well, or looking for clients and that kind of stuff, I would really recommend that you join my Copywriting and Sales Dojo Facebook group. It's a free group where we can have higher level conversations around people who are focusing in this space, and of course, how to assign clients in that space as well. So if you're interested to get that, put in, if you're not there and you're interested to become part of that group for absolutely free, yeah, Marianne is also there as well. Thanks, Marianne, for sharing that. If you want to join that group, and it's really active as well. So what would I say? Put in dojo, put in the words dojo in the chat. I just put it there. If you're interested to put in, to join the Facebook group before I join. So put in dojo in the chat and I'll hit you up. And for everyone else, let's do Q&A. Cool. So it's 11:50 p.m. I will end the call at 12 a.m. midnight. Let us talk about Q&A, about things you guys want to ask me right now. And we'll go from there. Cool. So I'm now opening the floor of Q&A. Anyone who has questions, feel free to let me know right now, and I'll tackle your questions. So if anyone has a question right now, put in me in the chat. Cool, dojo, I'll hit you guys up. Anyone has a question right now? Confused, concerned, maybe you've probably in QuickPro for quite a few months and haven't made any progress. We can tackle on that as well, because obviously there's a big problem why that's still the case. And yeah, anyone here wanna open up? None? Who is that? Who is those people who are like in QuickPro for already a few months, but isn't really making any progress at the moment? I think you guys should kind of like open up, because
Coach, pwede ba akong mag-open up pero hindi ako magtatanong? Yeah. Kasi I just wanna share, no? Kanina, nag-share din kasi ako dun sa isang, sa chat work ba yun? Basta sa Discord.
Yeah.
So, day one ko pa lang, after watching a few videos, like 3 to 4, I just got interviewed. So,
yeah.
No, day one, no. Amazing, right? Pero kasi, at saka ngayon, kung mapapansin nyo, medyo somehow knowledgeable na rin ako sa topic or discussion. Kasi that's because I'm currently working as a digital strategist for a sheet metal fabrication company. Like, for 2 years now. And ako na nagsasabi, no? Ito pa lang, ito first, ko rin online, first online live, dito, Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Ano ba tawag dito? Yun. So, sobrang dami sobrang yung value na yung learnings na na-acquire ko ngayon just by attending this live meeting. Considering na I'm already experienced, no? Mas experienced compared sa iba. So, if you guys can, sana makita nyo lang din yung value. Kumbaga, after ng learnings, try natin kung paano natin siya ma-apply sa, real world application. Kasi pag kunyari, like sabi mo, yeah, I understand, coach. Tapos, 1 week mo lang siyang in-understand, hindi ka nag-take na action. So,
Yeah.
maybe that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a really good share. That makes a lot of sense. Like, again, it comes down to like information is really useless. Understanding things is useless. It comes down to implementation, which really moves the needle at the end of the day. So, Jet, by the way, congrats on the first interview, right?
Actually, related din kasi yung work. So,
Yeah.
siya, tawag dito. Sorry, photo editing, enhancement, and I used to work as a freelance photographer for 7 years. So, medyo related siya, kaya hindi na rin masyadong nahirapan. So, huwag kayo masyadong ma-pressure. Hindi ako nagyayabang. Yun, kasi kinonect ko yung skill set ko dun sa in-applyan ko. So, baka pwede nyo rin siyang gawin.
Yeah,
Or kahit hindi skills, kung saan kayo passionate.
Yeah, 100%. So like again, like I think like people have a lot of uncertainty around like where they stand, but I really am positive or pro share your wins. I really am pro share your wins because a lot of people here are like thinking about like, oh shit, will this really work? Will this really work? And those will share, like this moment, like when someone shares like, oh shit, it worked for this person this amount of time, gets them to really question like, what have I been doing for the past few weeks and months that that he was doing or she was doing that actually I should do for me to produce results as well. Cool. So guys, so last call. I have a quick question. Let me scroll up. I think Karine is not here anymore. I think Alvin, is not here anymore. Mikhail is not here anymore, I think. Or is she here? No, they're not here. Cool. So guys, another thing as well, as I'm gonna end the call in like literally 5 minutes. Any more questions that you guys have? None? None? Going once?
Siguro coach, na-confuse sila. Ang nakalagay ako, nung una na-confuse din ako eh. Copywriting, late na kaso na nakapasok.
Yeah.
Confuse sila, copywriting, tapos numbers yung dinidiscuss. So baka gusto mo rin sana lang
By the way, it's not copyright, Mark, it's copywriting. Just giving Mark some clarity. But anyway, the thing is for me, when I explain what copywriting is for people, it's very vague. It really is very vague. But like long story short, I can persuade people in the way that I write it, right? But like, what does that really mean? So a lot of people don't really understand what copywriters do. So right now, for the people who understood, who went through my whole class right now, will have an internal industry perspective of what a copywriter really does and how a copywriter can really charge a shitload amount of money, rather than just having a certainty of like, oh, I'm a copywriter, I can persuade, if I can write emails for you, blah 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 blah, right? Not a lot of people explain copywriting in that way. And so I think it's pretty cool for me to get you guys to see where your copywriting skills will apply or will be used in a business and how it brings value to a business, rather than to just explain like what copywriters do. Because it is also one of the most rewarding things that you can do. Like right now, I'm back at my parents' place. I'm not in Cebu right now. I'm actually in Bukidnon, and I'm still working. Legit, I'm gonna be back again Cebu in like 9 days later. But you see, this is cool. Called like, I think that for me, my goal specifically in the online space is making high income and not like just an online job. Because a lot of people are like, yeah, like you want an online job. If you want to work from home, that's fine. But if you want to keep traveling and kind of like jumping from one place to another, guess what? You're going to pay for plane tickets and all kind of stuff. And that costs some stuff as well. So might as well actually make a higher level of income. And there's no other skills that I've seen that will really transpose to apply at a higher level, rather than consulting. Is a highly paid skill. Speaking is a highly paid skill. Coaching is a highly paid skill. Copywriting is a high paid skill. Sales is also a highly paid skill. Digital marketing as well, or like media buying, if for lack of a better term, is a highly paid skill where you help clients spend their money better on acquiring new customers. So like you're running Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Instagram ads, Google AdSense, or all this kind of stuff. So on my next class for the new people, I'm going to talk about client acquisition for copywriters and sales closers. But the thing that I want to share with you guys is I would rather watch my previous classes in copywriting so that you'll have more context on what copywriting really is, how much money you can make from copywriting, and like what kind of clients is like will make you like pretty rich. Because at the end of the day, like becoming a good copywriter, becoming a good sales closer is just like the part of like the half. It's like 20% of the battle or 30% of the battle. Like the real 70% of the battle really comes down to signing the right client. That's it. Because if you don't have the right client and you have a bitch client that's not going to spend on Facebook, or you have a client that's like not going to listen to like, or going to, frustrating. If you have clients that will start changing your copy, right? They write, you change your copy because it's not their voice. Copy becomes uglier. Like you're never going to get results for the client. So it's really important for you guys to sign the right clients, and like one of the right client can really change your life. That's my experience. I've been bouncing from like client 2, 3, 4 clients in the past for like first year of copywriting. I just landed one client and still working with him now for more than a year, and it's completely changed my life. So that's pretty much all it comes down to. Like once you sign one client that will pay for your bills, they'll pay for your travel expenses, like that would pay for like everything and even more. But yeah, we'll talk more about this in the next class. So it's actually kind of still early for you guys who still hop in class. But I really congratulate each and every single one of you who are jumping on this call, because like most people right now are enjoying lives, to be honest, because it's Holy Week. So it's probably chilling. Most of them are probably drunk. No judgment though, because that's pretty fun too for some people as well as me. But guys, thanks for jumping in on my class for this I think 2 hours, almost 2 hours, 30 minutes. Hold on, for the people who commented the dojo, I'm gonna show you guys how to do this, okay? I'm gonna share a screen really quickly. All you have to do here is you wanna go here on, on Facebook, and then you wanna look for copywriting dojo. Okay, you know what? I'll just put the link on the Zoom. Never mind. For lack of a better term. Okay, so please do note that this group is highly active, and I drop a lot of stuff here that will really help you guys out. I drop like stuff like that will help you in copy and sales. So we have 99 members and growing, so it's pretty interesting as well. What you want to do here is copy. What you want to do here is there are going to be questions. Okay, have you guys joined Facebook groups in the past before? I hope you guys did. A lot of people are really newbies, but there are questions in the group and a lot of people don't answer the questions. So for everyone, 100% of the people who don't answer the questions in the group don't get accepted in the group, if that makes sense. So I'm very picky with the people who I put into the group. And just, yeah, so like Jeffrey just, started to ask. So Jeffrey, as long as you answer the questions of the copywriting like group, you're good. Cool. So guys, join this. Okay, so join this group. This is like how it looks like. I would recommend you do it right now so you don't forget. It's just like 5 minutes, or 4 minutes, or even 3 minutes to just answer the questions in the group and then answer it. Cool. So for anyone, this is going to be valuable for anyone who wants to make money online as a copywriter, media buyer, sales closer, traffic guy, all the kind of stuff. So we talk about stuff here. And yeah, just that's pretty much it. Cool. Anyway, for everyone else, let's meet next week, and I'm looking forward to more. I'll probably actually do an extra class this week because I missed my class last week because of internet problems. But I'm gonna do one more class probably this week, and then another class on the weekend. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for me, guys. Let's keep crushing. If you have any questions, let me know as well. By the way, did you guys know that there's a copywriting and sales closing chat on Discord? Like, just saying. Karine, Mark, he's like, I don't have IG. Create an IG. By the way, this is not an IG group. This is a Facebook group. This is FB, bro. Facebook, not IG. So yeah, Facebook is connected with IG, but it's not. Facebook is not IG. So like, if you have a Facebook account, you're good. Cool. I think there's no questions anymore, guys. This is it for me. I'll meet you again next week. I will really have a big conversation with the Quick Pro team for uploading every single call that I had. I'm not sure if they uploaded it already. But like, I would really highly recommend watching my previous videos because I talk a lot about mindset that you won't find on YouTube videos or anything, because these are like legit experience-based things that I have learned from my mentors who charge a shitload of money for their mentorship programs. But all of the high level mentorship programs that I have invested in that are really high, like $3,000 and above mentorship programs, one time or like per month now, is what paved the way from getting me from zero to freelancer, who is now to a freelancer to now agency owner, who now runs a team of sales closers and copywriters, like with my business partners in Australia. So the big thing here is like, it really is about mindset, and a lot of the decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis are reflective of like your mindset about like, are you a give up, self-victim mindset, everything's not working mindset, or are you really here to really make real changes for that? So be on the lookout for my videos and for QuickBit to come, like, share my videos. But I'm gonna stop recording.